Whoa, I think I might have caught it right in the money, right in the nick of. It's the nick of money, I think. It's just a nick of time. Hello, everyone. Happy. Like, what do they call it? In bigger countries other than mine, they do like big free comic book events and days and whatever. Which I gotta say, I'm a little bit jealous, but it's okay. That's just how the thing goes. I like how it has become sort of like an important event. Um, it's a mix between them giving it an importance that it deserves and them using it as a publicity stunt, which is fine, by the way. Like, what is the best way of promote your new stuff other than giving it away for free? Even if it's just like I think these comics, the ones they give away, are really teeny tiny, right? I I think I've never seen one in person, or perhaps I have, but they are just right there, like the perfect tease for whatever you are selling, which is all good and dandy, and really, really, I don't know, as long as it's revealing enough, that is like the if you can call it the news part of the episode. But it's kind of loaded, not only because of all this free stuff, but because I'm genuinely excited by some stuff. Like, genuinely. So let's dive right into it. And we'll, of course, begin with the book of the week. It's kind of like strange because it's new, it's free, it has a mix of stuff featuring the X-Men. I don't know. Somehow the road to Armageddon, the upcoming Marvel event, has been paved with so many little seeds, but they all point to sort of different places. If we take into account mostly what Zdarsky is doing with Wolverine and Captain America, we see an event that might be political, might be in another way. Well, the thing is, this comic giveaway day, as they call it, apparently it's a lot more revealing that you can tell. I was almost tempted to read more about it, but I think I just wait to read the actual book. But we are already getting glimpses, because besides a Wolverine and Captain America, now we're seeing that actually the Red Hulk is gonna play a big part of it. So it is sort of connected to what happened in the Dungeons of Doom and the fall of One World Under Doom, where we saw the Red Hulk actually getting a lot of more screen time. I don't know how to put it different terms. The Red Hulk is back, and I think he's gonna be part of it. But we didn't know how much of a part was Spider-Man gonna play and Iron Man, which both of them on their own books are kind of like really far off. I mean, the Dead Spiral in Spider-Man is finishing soon, and if we kind of like only see what we're seeing in these previews, I don't think the whole Peter Parker carnage is gonna last long. Meanwhile, Iron Man is also doing kind of like a really slow burn run. I've said plenty of times that I would like to talk about the Iron Man book, but it has really been slow. This new relationship with Madame Mask and I'm, and his whole creative process of this. I don't know if it's gonna be a new armor. I don't know. But that storyline has also been quite slow. And Wolverine is doing a different thing in his solo book, but the Weapons of Armageddon is basically part of the event. So there's a bunch of stuff kind of like circling around this book, and Marvel has been teasing this a lot. I did see some teaser image for the event, the one depicting a silhouette with a it looks like he's wearing a cape and an armor, and he has a star on the chest. Might be Captain America. We don't know. The mysteries are all there, and at least publicity-wise, I think Marvel has done a great job. And of course, I need to take the chance to take another jab to Imperial, which also had not as good press, but it had a good press, and it had a great previews, and ended up being a fiasco. Who am I to criticize Hickman and his Imperial, whatever? But like, what the fuck happened to Professor Xavier, man? What the fuck happened? Whatever, man. Avengers Armageddon apparently is gonna be free in countries where people are not better, not worse, not like lucky. Yeah, let's go with lucky. Apparently, it will be free where people are luckier, or not really. Next, and is the other side. Captain America. I've been holding on to talking about this run of Captain America because as well I felt like they are trying not to give that much away. At the beginning I mentioned how excited I was on Captain America being highly political in this run, and it still is. You know, it says Armageddon assembles in 1 month. 1 month is nothing. And you know, this run hasn't gone as fast or as hard, that sounds dirty, as I expected it to be. The seeds were there, and I think they might end up being that just seeds as a setup for Armageddon. But as the run continued, that spark that was there at the beginning hasn't really moved forward. Like Captain America hasn't really faced new challenges to his ideals or his general politics. Basically, we already knew that he was going to go to Latveria. He's gonna have some issues with the powers that be, the controlling members or people of higher organizations in America, and he was going to interact with some revolutionary or like counter, is it terrorist, but political ideas that goes against what he's supposed to stand for. It was the classic thing that we from outside of the US we see often, but it seems that for Americans it's always an eye opener that their country, their ideals, their freedom, their justice is just up for sale. So you put Captain America in between, and when you do it good like you do a lot of commentary on American politics, American society, and American ideals, and that was what I was hoping for this run. It hasn't given me that much, but at the same time, if it's only a setup for Armageddon, that's enough for me to recommend it. And overall, the art has been beautiful, and the writing, as always, has been, if not as edgier as I would want it to be, still fun. So now, from now on, for this upcoming month, everything that is on the road to Armageddon, I think is worth checking out. Next. It was curious because this is the 50th issue of I Hate Fairyland, the basically comically cartoonish parody of fairy tales by Scotty Young. I'm taking the chance to say that I felt personally that this book fell off the horse, the wagon, the rhythm. I don't know. The first couple of volumes were so entertaining, so funny. You could feel the weight of the parody, but honestly, I think it has gone too long. I've been feeling this for quite some time. Like Gert has already met like her best version. She left, then she came back, and funnily enough, I don't know if it was issue 49 or 48, where Young actually put himself in the book. At the end of the issue, he draw himself as he draw himself in a cartoon way, like saying, "Should I stop?" That shit was the funniest that book has been in a long time. Not only funny, but kind of like you sort of agree with it. The stories have stopped making that much sense, and they have stopped being as funny because there's no more fairy tale commentary, and Gert has become this really predictable character. But anyways, um, does this mean that this series is gonna end? I don't know, but certainly that panel of him saying, "Should I stop?" Even if it's a joke, you know how they say that every joke can have some sliver of truth. I think it's there. I think it's there. But anyways, I Hate Fairyland has been this great kind of like cartoonish book about a girl trapped, a girl trapped in fairyland. And as I said, it hasn't been the best toward the later half of the book, but it's still fun enough. I Hate Fairyland issue 50 from Image Comics. Still fun. Next is the Justice League Intergalactic Special. What is the only reason I'm recommending this book? And it's because of Nicole Maines. She portrayed Dreamer in the Supergirl series, and she has been kind of like really attached to the character to the point that she's written them in several comic books. And the character got really interesting in that Amanda Waller story arc, where you got Dreamer written as this really ambiguous hero. And with this I mean that it's kind of like a borderline kind of like, you know, this sort of heroes that go sort of like kind of like the Batman-ish way, where they go like, oh, I'm gonna suffer for the sake of ideals and everything. For some reason, I think Dreamer is the perfect character for that. You know, her powers are really ambiguous, and I don't know, I like that when they introduce them to the comics. They didn't go all out on. By the way, I'm saying them, but I think Dreamer in the comic books identifies as a female. Is she a female? I don't know. I don't want to fuck it up. Let's just talk about the character. They introduced the character as this, as I say, borderline hero. Like, they didn't go the Supermanish way, being the pure character, and they didn't go all the John Constantine sort of type of character. No, they put her right in the middle, which has been really fun. So they gather a bunch of characters and Green Arrow for some reason to do a mission about it. I didn't really read the whole description of the mission, but yeah, basically I'm recommending it because of Dreamer. One super interesting character, which I really like, and I don't know, I always find it fun and interesting reading about it. And the new Star Sapphire, I think it's also a really fun character. They brought her all the way back from Green Lantern, which the whole Green Lantern thing nowadays, it's not complicated, but it's all over the place again, which I personally like. After they brought them all together with the Star Breaker conspiracy, I think it's pretty fun. But anyways, Justice League, the Intergalactic Special, just a teeny tad of Dreamer, who I think deserves a solo book, right? I'm not crazy. She surely deserves one. Or they. Next. In another comic books giveaway day special, Power Rangers issue 0 by Boom Studios, um, it's supposed to set up all the things Power Rangers coming forward. And the Power Rangers books began in such an interesting way, but then they spread out way too thin after the whole Morphing Green event, which was so good that basically cemented the grounds for so many Power Rangers books that have appeared until now that we only currently have the Power Rangers Prime. I think is the only current ongoing book. But anyways, in this issue, they're gonna be introducing to so many of the future storylines. Of course, the one that people are looking for the most is the one where the original Power Rangers are gonna come back and they're gonna do the classic comic book trope of heroes past their prime. Like they're gonna be old and they're gonna have different lives, different situations, which is something they kinda brushed a little bit during the previous runs, because when they expanded the morphing grid, they did show future versions of them. I'm pretty sure. But anyways, Power Rangers Prime, the ongoing Power Rangers book, it's been okay. I think the characters didn't hit as hard as they thought they would. At sometimes it gave me vibes of the Power Rangers reboot movie, which if anyone has seen my episode on it, I really liked the approach. It was a little bit edgier, but from the emotional side. And that goes for the Red Ranger and the Yellow Ranger in Power Rangers Prime. And there's some drama in there by the Eltarians in the future sharing a planet with the humans. There are interesting elements, but overall Power Rangers Prime has been as exciting as action packed that I would like it to be. It's a little bit slow. But anyways, here's the platform for the upcoming future of the Power Rangers in the comic books. And of course, the Power Rangers are a little bit like Ghostbusters. You gotta come back to Jason, Trini, Kimberly, Adam, Billy, and Tommy. For us Western viewers, Power Ranger viewers, not Super Sentai or whatever. Those are the Power Rangers. Which makes me think though, after that first run of Power Rangers, I think the last time we've seen some of them back in some degree. And I don't know if the newer people, the younger people who found out Power Rangers by the new stuff, they even know about the old guys. Who knows? But this comic giveaway day Power Rangers is your stepping stone, your platform, your jumping point for whatever are you gonna call it for new Power Ranger stuff. Next. Red Roots by Lorenzo Di Felici. It's making its runs as a really hyped book. I don't know. The press release was just this one line, like about I already forgot it, but it was just one line, like something about a dead guy or whatever. Who knows? But Lorenzo Di Felici, who did the art for Oblivion Song, also released a short miniseries called Chroma, which was wonderful. Chroma, if I remember correctly, was like a girl who was running for creatures, like whatever. I think the story wasn't the thing that made Chroma a breakout hit. I think what made Chroma a breakout hit was the art. The art was amazing, and the book is called Chroma because it has to do with colors. And the way they play with colors in that one was incredible. I like, when we go about this medium, and sometimes, well, especially me, I'm more about plot and those sort of elements. Sometimes we forget to give a little nod to the art, and in the case of the Felici and Chroma, that was incredible. It was like, I don't know, every issue was like stepping into a museum or something. You know, when they do this corny shit of like, oh, I'm gonna go into like Van Gogh's painting, and they have like a guy inside the painting, and he's like, oh, this is so incredible. It was like that sensation, but in comic book form. So it was gruesome, it had violence, it was dare I say even hardcore. It was beautiful. So even if you give me a press release of just one line, but tell me it comes from the artist and author of Chroma, I'm gonna say I'm in. Plus, there's a kitty cat in it. There's a kitty cat rubbing itself against a severed zombie head. You know? So instead of giving me the whole 20 miles of introduction, just give me one line, one author, and a kitty cat rubbing itself against a severed head, and that is more than enough to pique anyone's interest. Next. I didn't read this old run of Swamp Thing, but apparently it's a big deal. Like the unfinished Rick Brach, or whatever you pronounce his last name, run of Swamp Thing. I have no knowledge or like no real attachment to this, but the fact that they are now allowing a previously unfinished run to finish, I think is worthy enough. I might not even actually pick up this book because, as I said, I haven't read the previous thing. I haven't read whatever they are finishing, but I just wanted to commend it, and I just wanted to say, like, I almost talked about Planet She-Hulk this week, but like I'm done with being like disappointed at it. But I don't know if this sets precedent or if it means that it could be a future reality where like unfinished storylines get to finish. I don't know, man. I just saw this in the releases and I was like, man, you better never lose hope. You never know. Maybe you're gonna get your chance to finish your story. And I think that's something we all like to believe in. We all get our chance to finish our stories. Wasn't that like the tagline for WrestleMania or something? Whatever. Next. The Sacrificers is ending. One of my favorite authors of all time, Rick Remender, did his latest fantasy drama epic. This book was weird. This book was weird not only because the protagonist is basically a pigeon, but the plot moved slow and fast at the same time, like with a time jump in between. It was intense. It was oddly complicated at times. I don't know. The final story I had made a time jump, had the protagonist coming together, creating offspring, and at the same time, this sort of attempt at criticizing even like organized religion, and I don't know. It's way too complicated to explain in a couple of minutes if you haven't been reading it. It's not my favorite Remender book, but I've said it before and I will say it again. Somehow, some what is another one? Somehow, some why? Well, somehow, it all comes back with Remender to family dynamics, and I've said it a million times, a million times. That is one of my weaknesses. Family drama dynamics made well and presented in a respectful manner, which sort of portrays the intensity, the emotional intensity of family dynamics without going all telenovela in it. of course, sacrificers ended up going that way. Am I looking forward for something in particular about the ending of this story? Not really, because as I said, it got way too big and kind of like way too complicated. It was like the process, right? It begins with a hook, then it gets really big. You go through the intensity of action and the intensity of climax and story. Then, in the good remainder way, you bring it back to the roots, to the core, which are family dynamics, parents and offspring, but fathers and son, mothers and daughters, family and love, and the cost attached to it in the context of this fantastic story. I guess it's a good point to say, okay, it's ending. Of course, I can't tell people to jump into a book in the last issue, of course, but it's a way to say overall it was a great story. It wasn't Seven to Eternity or like Black Science, but it was good. It was good, so I would recommend it for people who hasn't read it to wait for the trade. Get the whole story in one. This is certainly one that will take advantage of being read as just this one straight story. Next. You might go like, hey, didn't you just talk about the Uncanny X-Men last time? Yes. Why are you talking it again? Because I fucking love it. I just talked about family dynamics, and the previous issue of Uncanny X-Men hit me hard with the emotions. I didn't expect it to go that way, but spoiler, in that issue, Gambit kind of like proposes the idea of adopting these 4 new mutants. We are breaking territory in an unprecedented way. This wasn't just another school. This wasn't just another school or another band of X-Men. Like anyone who hangs with Cyclops is basically a soldier. That's how it is. So what was going to be Rogue's new approach to the X-Men? And turns out it was family. And if it was family, you see the attachments they created in this set of characters between Rogue and Nightcrawler, who are in a way siblings. Of course, he's married to Gambit, and bringing Wolverine and Jubilee into it. Like Jubilee, as I said, was a character that was kind of like lost, but most of her intensity in the past years was her being a mother. So kind of like low key, they put like her frustrating motherly intuition into this book. They brought these 4 characters and these 4 new mutants, and I didn't notice until Gambit said it how they were mostly in more than in need of teachers or direction. They needed the love and companionship of fraternal love and parenting. Like it was such a big revelation, and with that revelation comes the next part of the story, which we have Gambit secrets coming into light, challenging Rogue. And I've said Rogue's my favorite X-Men, and this is why she's my favorite X-Men. She's facing a new, like, fundamental problem for her as a person, by the man she loves and the new family she's built. It's a character that is always reaching for this peace and love, and she always achieves it somehow with the Avengers, with the X-Men. But her strength comes with this simplicity, this humility of facing issues that are fundamentally about love and how you say, like, and it's not companionship, but it's human connection. Like almost out of all the X-Men, because she doesn't add anything to it. Like, for example, you had Nightcrawler here, and Nightcrawler is also a great character, but he always struggles with like the higher ethics and the more philosophical part of it. Not Rogue. Somehow she's always down to earth, despite being the farthest away from Earth as possible. So the Uncanny X-Men took a turn towards a family, and the setup was great because you're already in love with these 4 new guys. You're already in love with them because they wrote them in a way that is not excluding. You know, for example, Death Dream, the Japanese kid, they could have written him like they wrote Kid Omega at some point. Like really confrontational, like really kind of like an extreme anarchist type of way. But they wrote all of them in a loving manner. Calico, the girl with the horse, she still holds a mystery, but the one thing she's really adamant about is also about this emotional connection. They all been great. And this new side to the story, like it was all it took for Gambit to propose Rogue to adopt these kids and turning a school or a refuge into a family. That's kick-ass. That's good writing. With the proper characters, the proper setup. You wonder, like, hey, how come this wasn't the book of the week? Because it's been the book of the years for me, Uncanny X-Men. I love this book. I love it. Next. Zatanna comes back with another #1 from the same author that did the previous. Was it like a solo book type? I don't remember, but it had a subtitle. Why am I talking about Zatanna here? Because I've talked about Absolute Zatanna a couple of times in the recent times, and how fresh has Absolute Wonder Woman and in turn Absolute Zatanna felt in the whole magic arena. Now, the main DC universe, magic is kind of like a weird thing. Whenever I think about Zatanna, of course I end up thinking about John Constantine and that big run that they have where they have like like an orgy between Zatanna, Constantine, and this other guy, and they would go underground and do magic stuff out of the mainstream. They would explore magical half-forbidden magics, because magic was this element of a weird, strange freedom. It wasn't proper. It wasn't good and evil, and that's one of the best thing about Constantine, right? It was ambiguous. It was nasty. It was, and magic hasn't been like that in the DC universe for a long time. The last time it was sort of prominent with the Justice League Dark, led by Wonder Woman. They had the inverted man trying to take over magic in the universe or something. It was okay, but it was too superhero-y. They had so many tropes that were leaning into that. They weren't leaning into the dream-like, ambiguous state that I personally enjoy magic. Now, will this Zatanna book be like that? I think not. And I don't know if this is gonna be a big change, something revolutionary for the magic side of DC. With so much going on with the Next Level initiative and the big DC books, I think magic is just there, It's just there. So I'm not like really excited about this Zatanna book, but I'm craving that magic side. and it's a solo Zatanna book, so you know it's gonna be about magic. So why not? Next. I just talked about Armageddon and everything, but there's another, not necessarily ongoing and not that much of an event, but apparently in the comic giveaway day of the Amazing Spider-Man, we finally have Spider-Man and Venom coming into the Queen in Black sort of sub event, kind of like, where you have Hela taking over Null and Null becoming a chump. Well, he's not a chump anymore. He kind of like absorbed the powers of light recently. It was really weird. And he's in a feud with Thanos. And they kind of low key gave Thanos new powers. It's weird because the book hasn't been that interesting. It's just this one motion, one idea. It's like Null against the world. Like he's a one trick pony, Null, as a character. And narratively speaking, he's also just this one guy. He's the King in Black. He wants to be all powerful. So now we put you down, and all you gotta do is you wanna get back up. So he's facing all of these challenges, but only as a platform to kind of like make him evolve, to make him more interesting, having new powers and new higher stakes. In a way, story-wise, it's been kind of like weak. You don't really see the subtleties in the character. It's just a one-line character. But anyways, since he was the King in Black and Hela is now the Queen in Black, we sort of forgot that he was the god of symbiotes. So eventually you had to ask, like, hey, where's Venom in all of this? What's Venom gonna do? So in this comic giveaway day, I think they're gonna try to make those links and bring both Venom, Spider-Man, and for some reason the Hulk into the mix. I don't know how are they gonna sort of wrap it up in the sense that what Hela being the Queen in Black really means for the symbiotes. As I said, they low-key not deceived us, but like led us astray with the whole symbiote thing. And meanwhile, we are all talking about Venom and Mary Jane and talking about the controversial artist or like, I don't know, bunch of unrelated shit to the big whole symbiote world. The big symbiote world has apparently going somewhere. It has been going somewhere. But the Null book didn't really cover the repercussions of Hela being the Queen in Black. That is still to be seen, and hopefully we're gonna see it now. This is also strange because I really haven't felt the consequences of the dead spiral situation, or I'm not really understanding where Venom as a character is going, but apparently MJ is still in it, which I think it must stay that way. To keep Venom fresh, Mary Jane must remain Venom for the foreseeable future. Eddie Brock is a spent out character. He is. They must bring him to another side, make him do something with Dylan or do something symbiote adjacent. Clearly making him Carnage didn't really work, but making Eddie Brock Venom again, I don't know, man. He was a god, man. This Eddie Brock as Venom is feeling strangely like a Spawn, Al Simmons Spawn. Like his story arc is extremely similar of them reaching this godlike level and then coming randomly back. It's like, okay, we're gonna make you a god, and then like, we can't really write that many stories if you're that powerful, right? So let's bring you all the way back down. That's how it feels. Sadly, you can have Eddie Brock without Venom, basically. I keep remembering Eddie Brock as part of that Carnage hunting unit in that old Carnage book that had to do with the Dark Hole. And Carnage, as I said last week, is probably one of the most interesting symbiotes as a symbiote. But the Cult of Carnage created around the Dark Hole and all the prophecy thing, and you had this kind of like unhinged Eddie Brock who was just this gruesome mercenary. But anyways, everything's coming together for another new episode in the symbiote saga across the Spider books, or across maybe only the Spider-Man book. We'll finally see what the King Black is all about, hopefully. Next. Last but not least, this is the last. I mentioned 3 Armageddon related books, and this is the last one, Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon. Like I this book also feels so much like a setup. Just to set up this new weapon character, or like if you see the cover, he's beating up Wolverine and like, oh, I have better claws than you. But anyways, that is not the important thing. The important thing is all the machinations behind this project, and you read this, and all you can really do is to like be really attentive to what clues on this book can be kind of like exported, presented. I don't know, but this is just a way for us to say what's gonna happen, what's gonna happen, and how will this book set up whatever Wolverine's participation is in the upcoming event. That's basically it. The book in on itself, it's been okay, at least more interesting than the Wolverine solo book. That's the truth. But anyways, fuck it. What else can I say about it? I see myself. I see myself thinking, what else can I say about it? And I think that is the revealing thing. I totally see it. I saw the title and I'm like, man, this is a setup for Armageddon. I need to talk about it. And as soon as I sit out and write the points that I want to talk about, I'm like faced with the fact that now that the event is so close, now that I know that the event is gonna be bigger than Wolverine, I'm like, why do I care about Nuke and the secret project of a new weapon? You see my point? It's a strange sort of how you call it, situation. It's a strange situation, but like, fuck it, Armageddon is coming. You better read these set of books, Captain America and Wolverine. They are gonna be important. This story hasn't been that long. It hasn't been that fun. It hasn't been that important, but it gives clues of what's going to happen, and it has the seriousness of a proper Wolverine book. So you're still gonna enjoy it if you like Wolverine. That's it. I had a note about this Wolverine book, like a question mark. Like, what else can I say about it? I caught myself, like, I surprised myself just by adding it. Like, I saw it and I added it, because I'm like, fuck it, it's gonna be important. Well, that shit that just happens sometimes, But anyways, that's another week of comic books. I think the free ones, they come on like a weird day, like Friday or Saturday or something before the next week, and I'm not sure, since I don't live in a country where that is a tradition. I'm not sure of the date, but they all count as this week's comics. And Armageddon is getting me excited. I hope it doesn't disappoint as Imperial did. And hell, whoa! I just closed my music. Fuck. I think I think that's a good sign to say goodbye. Thank you for listening. Go read all of these books. They are all fun. They are all good, especially Uncanny X-Men. I think I might cry. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.